When I got a text from my neighbor Ethan, just 4 words, "Man, get home now," I knew something was wrong. Ethan wasn't the type to panic. He'd barbecue ribs in a hailstorm without a flinch. But that message hit me at work, churning my stomach. I jumped in my truck, dodged through traffic, and skidded into my driveway. What I saw in my backyard stopped me cold. A swarm of workers, ladders everywhere, and what looked like an event crew setting up a party on my pool. Not beside it. I stood there, jaw slack, watching silver and blue streamers draped across a wooden platform that buried my entire pool. This was the pool I'd saved 3 years for, spent 6 months custom building with a top-tier programmable wave system hidden beneath the tiles. A woman with a smoothie and a megaphone barked orders. When she saw me, her face didn't budge. She strutted over like she owned my yard and said, "Oh, good, you're here. We're almost done setting up for Sophie's Sweet 16. Try not to step on the rose arch, it's delicate." I was so stunned I thought I was hallucinating. I blinked. The platform was still there, squatting on my pool like a bad bet. "Who are you?" I asked. She gave me a look laced with contempt. "Karen, HOA board vice president and Sophie's mom. Didn't you get the memo?" "Memo? What memo?" My voice edged into a growl. "Karen, this is my house. That's my pool. You built a stage on it." She rolled her eyes like I was the issue. "It's a dance floor," she said, sipping her smoothie. "Don't be dramatic. The HOA voted. We needed space, and your pool wasn't in use. Honestly, I thought you'd be flattered." "Flattered?" I glanced at Ethan, leaning on the fence, mouthing, "Told you." Karen waved a clipboard. "Don't worry," she said. "We'll be gone by midnight. Plus, you'll get a community appreciation certificate. That's better than cash, right?" I almost laughed, but instead pulled out my phone and started recording. Karen flinched at the red light. "Oh, don't be like that," she said, her tone turning syrupy. "Let's not make this a thing." I panned the camera over the platform, the streamers, the sound system on my patio, and the bartenders rolling kegs across my lawn. "You want a thing?" I said quietly. "I'll give you a thing." That night, I dug into the HOA charter. Karen claimed my pool fell under some communal entertainment space clause from the 1980s. My cousin, a lawyer who owed me a favor, read it and sent a video of himself laughing so hard he was wheezing. "They've got nothing," he said. "Zero legal ground. Sue them to kingdom come if you want." I was tempted, but then I remembered something better, something poetic. My pool wasn't just any pool. It had a secret weapon, a programmable wave system with settings from soft ripples to a full-on tsunami mode for surf training. I'd never used it until now. I stared at the control app on my phone, the glowing red Activate Tidal Shift button calling me. I didn't press it. Not yet. Karen had bragged the big event was tomorrow night. And if I knew anything about people like Karen, it was that they cared more about appearances than anything else. Wreck the party? That was justice. Wreck it on camera in front of 200 parents and teens? That was art. The next day, I played nice. Karen stopped by at noon, wearing a glittery visor, fake smile plastered on, asking if I had a trash bin her vendors could use. "Sure," I said, handing her one I just emptied of garbage but hadn't cleaned after a failed experiment with shrimp shells. She didn't notice. By 7 p.m., the DJ was set up, guests were arriving, and Karen stood on the makeshift stage, gushing into the mic. "We're so lucky to have neighbors who value community spirit." I watched from my upstairs window, iced coffee in hand, savoring her smugness. Then it began. The first beat dropped, and I tapped wave mode 1 gentle vibrations under the stage. Nothing crazy, just enough to make the floor feel alive, like a carnival ride. The dancers thought it was part of the vibe. Karen grinned like a reality TV star, clueless that the tide was turning. I tapped again. Wave mode 2. The plywood hummed like a heartbeat. A few guests frowned, confused, but the DJ, probably hyped on energy drinks, yelled, "Feel that bass." The crowd cheered. Karen clapped, swaying, drunk on her own spotlight. I hovered my finger over wave mode 3 disruptive current. 1 press, and it'd be a party no one would forget. I smiled and waited. The real show was coming. By sunset, my backyard looked like a cross between a wedding venue and a music festival. Teens in sparkly outfits poured in, dragging grumpy parents already muttering about parking. Karen glided through the crowd like royalty, hugging people she barely knew, thanking them for joining our special night. No mention of whose property they were on. No thanks, no acknowledgement, just glitter, gossip, and chaos. I stood on my balcony, popcorn in hand, phone ready, eyes on the Wave Machine app. Wave Mode 2 was working perfectly. The dance floor seemed fine from a distance, but dancers could feel something off. The panel shifted slightly every few seconds, like a pulse in the wood. One girl tripped during a dance video and blamed her heels. A guy spilled his drink mid-spin and scowled at the cup. The tremors were subtle, constant, just enough to breed unease. People couldn't quite balance. Karen, oblivious, called it excitement energy and declared the night a triumph. Then came the DJ, lanky guy in a neon vest and sunglasses at night. He swaggered onto the stage, shouted, "Let's make history," and cranked the music so loud my windows rattled. The floor bounced with each beat, amplified by my wave setting a perfect mix of fake stability and real chaos. Teens jumped and screamed, their shoes slipping on the plywood. Karen took the mic again, welcoming everyone to Sophie's Sweet 16 like she was hosting the Grammys. Then came the moment I'd waited for, Sophie's solo dance. The music shifted to a slow pop ballad. The crowd parted, and Sophie stepped onto the platform in a silver dress that probably cost more than my TV. As she posed, I tapped Wave Mode 3. The shift was instant. The floor tilted slightly left, then snapped back. Sophie stumbled, caught herself, and blinked, confused. The crowd murmured. The DJ, sipping from a questionable flask, tried to tweak the bass and slipped, knocking over a massive speaker. It crashed onto the plywood's edge. Everyone screamed. Karen rushed forward, yelling, "It's fine. It's fine." But her voice drowned in the music in panic. I hit the disruption loop. The platform rose and fell like a bucking bull, tilting unpredictably. Guests stumbled. Drinks spilled. A tray of cupcakes slid into the DJ booth. Someone's dad did an accidental split. Sophie shrieked as the floor tipped, nearly tossing her into the balloon arch. Karen yelled at the DJ. The DJ yelled back. Guests yelled at Karen. A teen slipped near the edge, one foot hitting the water with a splash. Panic rippled. People rushed off the platform, thinking it was collapsing. I saw their faces: terror, confusion, soaked clothes. Karen, red-faced and shrieking, ran in circles, trying to save her event. "Don't panic," she yelled, just as someone knocked over a candle, igniting a streamer. Ethan, watching from the fence, was doubled over laughing, tears streaming. The platform sagged in the middle, creaking under the water's pressure and panicked feet. I didn't want anyone hurt, so I dropped to Wave Mode 1, stabilizing the platform just enough. But the damage was done. Decorations floated in the pool. A speaker sparked and fried. A dad slipped, cannonballing into the shallow end. The air reeked of chaos and burnt wiring. Karen grabbed the mic and screamed, "Stop." Everyone off the dance floor, off the pool. Too late. The illusion was shattered. Guests fled through the side gate, soaked, furious, makeup streaming. Sophie was sobbing, yelling that her night was ruined and she hated her mom. Karen tried to calm her, slipped, and fell through a weakened board into the water. That moment, caught by Ethan's phone, would later become the most viral 10 seconds in HOA history. As the crowd thinned and the music died, I walked to the yard, phone in hand. Karen dragged herself out, hair plastered, dress sagging. She glared at me. "You did this," she hissed. I raised my phone. "No, Karen, you did this. I just turned on the waves." She opened her mouth but froze when she saw Ethan filming. She spun, shrieked, and stormed off, one shoe gone, trailing water and glitter. By morning, my backyard was a wreck. Streamers floated like seaweed. The plywood buckled. A sequined purse was tangled in a sparking cord. A deflated dolphin float bobbed under a fallen light. I stepped out, coffee in hand, barefoot, taking it in like a general after a battle. Then I saw Karen at the gate with 2 HOA board members and a camera crew from a local news blog. Her face was exhaustion, fury, desperation. The HOA president, Greg, who'd once bragged about his flawless lawn, held an envelope like it was radioactive. Karen didn't waste time. "This has gone too far," she said. I sipped my coffee. "Agreed. You trashed my property. Let's start there." Greg cleared his throat and handed me the envelope. Inside was a nonsense document claiming I'd disrupted a community celebration and endangered guests. I laughed. "Endangered? You built a nightclub on my pool without permission, with trespassing contractors, and set it on fire. You endangered yourselves. Karen opened her mouth, but Ethan popped up behind the fence, waving a tablet. Want to see the drone footage? Karen's jaw clenched. She tried to pivot, her voice suddenly soft. We just think you should take responsibility. Maybe cover some damage. Just the dance floor, DJ booth, Rose Arch. I nearly choked laughing. You hosted an illegal party, damaged my pool, and want me to pay for your flowers? She blinked, not expecting pushback. Greg mumbled about neighborly peace. I smiled and stepped inside. You'll love what's next. 2 hours later, Karen got surprise one. A police report I filed with video proof of her trespassing, hiring contractors on private property, and hosting over 100 guests without permits. Trespassing, vandalism, code violations. I didn't need to press charges yet. The report put her on notice. An officer came, took photos, and left Karen pale on the sidewalk. Surprise 2 was better. I sent Ethan's drone footage, security clips, and phone videos to a subreddit for HOA horror stories. It hit the front page in 6 hours, racking up 1 million views. Comments called it legendary. Someone edited Karen's pool fall with dramatic music. Ethan made it his ringtone. Karen was now wave queen. A kid dressed as her for Halloween, complete with a soggy wig. Karen threatened to sue Ethan, but since his video was from a public view, she had no case. She tried to pin me for cyber harassment. The new HOA lawyer laughed for 10 minutes. Surprise 3. My cousin drafted a cease and desist letter demanding restitution for pool damage, lawn destruction, and emotional distress. It wasn't about money, it was about ending Karen's reign. When the letter arrived during her brunch, her mimosa glass shattered on the pavement. Ethan, of course, filmed it. The HOA fractured. Neighbors shared stories of Karen's overreach fines for unapproved birdhouses, kids' chalk drawings, tacky mailbox decals. A petition for an emergency audit of HOA funds got 70 signatures in 48 hours. At the next meeting, the crowd was so big they moved it to the high school auditorium. Karen looked nervous at the podium. Someone yelled, "Make her dance on the pool again." The room roared. She accused me of a harassment campaign, but the evidence was undeniable. She trespassed, commandeered my pool, and endangered guests for her daughter's clout. She was a cautionary tale. That night, neighbors I barely knew texted me. One brought wine and a thank you card. Another baked cookies. A landscaper offered to fix my lawn. Community spirit was back not because of Karen, but because she was exposed. I hadn't used my pool's final setting yet. That I saved for the farewell party when Karen's reign ended for good. The days after the wave dance disaster sparked a neighborhood awakening. Karen had ruled the HOA like a tyrant with a clipboard, fining people for wrong flowers or visible hose reels. Now her literal and figurative fall broke the silence. During a walk, I overheard neighbors swapping stories. One, a quiet woman named Clara, said, "She fined me 4 times for my porch light being too bright." Another, named Marcus, grumbled. She said my wind chime was disruptive to the aesthetic. Word spread. Karen had been a menace, but no one had dared challenge her. Now the spell was broken. By week's end, a petition on the community forum demanded an emergency HOA election and audit of Karen's spending. It needed 50 signatures. It got 78 in 2 days. I signed with a smirk. Karen was spiraling. Her confident strut became a shuffle, head down when walking her dog who, ironically, she'd fined a kid for excessive barking. She issued new fines, desperate to regain control, but no one paid. They posted her notices on the community board with notes like Karen's greatest hits. Someone made, "I survived the wave party" shirts. Another built a mini plywood stage on their lawn with a doll in a tiny Karen wig. The emergency HOA meeting was packed, held in the high school auditorium. Families, retirees, even teens showed up, some with popcorn, others in shirts saying "pool vibes only." I arrived with Ethan, who wore a fake press badge labeled meme director. Karen was 15 minutes late, hair messy, no clipboard, makeup barely hiding her stress. She took the stage, voice shaky. "Thank you for coming. There have been misunderstandings, but everything I've done was for the community." Someone snorted. Another fake coughed tsunami. The room chuckled. Karen pressed on. "We can't let internet rumors and out-of-context videos ruin our standards." Ethan stood. "How much HOA money went as Sophie's party decorations?" Silence. Karen froze. Clara asked, "Why do you waive your own fence violation but fine me for a planter?" Questions piled up. The crowd became a courtroom, Karen on trial. Someone lifted a phone, playing the wave party clip. Karen stuttered, blamed clerical errors, but it was over. When the vote came for a new HOA board, she didn't even get nominated. 3 neighbors well-liked, promising transparency won in a landslide. Karen sat in the corner, arms crossed, lips tight. I passed her on the way out. She didn't look at me, didn't speak. Her face said it all, years of control, gone in a wave. That night, the neighborhood celebrated. No invites, no HOA, just people in yards, grilling, playing music, sharing stories. My battered backyard became the hub. Ethan projected the wave party collapse, laughter echoing as Karen flailed in slow motion to opera and cartoon sounds. Someone brought a cake shaped like a clipboard with R.I.P. Karen's reign in blue icing. A neighbor I barely knew gave me a thank you card and a beer. "You didn't just save your pool," he said. "You saved us." As kids splashed and music played, the neighborhood felt alive, messy, loud, human. Karen was gone. Her power had been an illusion, built on fear. When someone said no, it crumbled. I raised a toast to waves, footage, and the clipboard that broke. The best part? I hadn't used my pool's final setting. That was for later. Karen's exit wasn't dramatic. A week after the election, a crooked for sale sign appeared in her yard. The neighborhood didn't celebrate, but the air was lighter, lawns greener. Neighbors waved more. Karen posted on the community board, claiming she was leaving for health reasons, not because she was the face of HOA infamy. No one bought it. Her pool fall was still viral, remixed with dolphins or her wig floating to sad music. A YouTuber's Wave of Justice parody hit 2 million views. The phrase became a local meme. Her insurance company denied her claim for party damages, citing unauthorized use of private property and my footage. She owed $27,000 in losses and HOA restitution, all out of pocket. The new HOA board reversed her old fines, offered reimbursements, and launched an investigation into her fund use. They asked for her receipts. She didn't reply. She just packed. On her last day, a moving truck idled. No one helped. No one waved. She loaded boxes alone, yelling at movers, her dog yapping. Ethan filmed, whispering. The suburban Karen retreats after a failed power grab. A few days later, a new family moved in friendly, with kids and a dog. The husband, a pool contractor, said, "I followed your story online. You made waves." We laughed. He fixed my pool for free, replacing plywood scars with stone decking and a new filtration system. I added solar lights, speakers, and renamed Wave Mode 3 Karen Dance Party. To celebrate, I threw a massive pool party. No HOA approval needed. Neighbors brought food, music, and sea creature floats. Ethan projected the saga's greatest hits. Teens reenacted Karen's fall in the shallow end. Someone brought a cardboard Karen cutout with a speech bubble. "My clipboard will find you." The crowd roared. But what hit me wasn't the laughs. It was the unity. Neighbors who'd been strangers were together, smiling, real. No one checked your grass length or mailbox color. It was messy, joyful, human. As the sunset and pool lights glowed, I stood by the diving board, watching kids splash and parents chat. This wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming what Karen had stolen, not just my pool, but our spirit. She'd been the storm, but storms pass. We rebuilt. Someone handed me a wave-shaped cake with "Long Live the Pool King" in blue icing. I laughed, accepted my crown, and toasted to neighbors who film, waves that dance, and never letting anyone turn your backyard into their stage. That night, alone by the pool, laughter fading, I looked at the still water under the moonlight. I tapped my phone, turning on the wave machine one last time.